Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one now. Reality, spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Reality, spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Get real. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Get real good. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Time to get real.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, Global Happiness Specialist Rebecca L. Norrington, Happiness Specialist, Inner Peace Practitioner, Oracle, Teacher. I'm gonna throw in my favorite, an all-time constant, ongoing, never-ending student of the universe and its laws. Just a student. And when I say student, I'm in class all the time. There's never a break, never a vacation, never a day off. It is a constant moment-by-moment commitment and priority to this thing called happiness. And let me be very clear. Let me just start right from the beginning. Happiness. Let me give you my definition. My definition of happiness is the ability to vibrate an energy of peace, regardless of what happens and regardless of what doesn't happen. Happiness is the energy the ability to vibrate an energy of peace regardless of what's happening. And, you know, this happiness thing, it is a vibration. It is an energy. And when you practice, when I say practice, it's like any other practice skill. Happiness, inner peace, contentment, all are practice skills. That's the good news. That means anyone can practice. Anyone can make a commitment to shift their energy. It doesn't matter what's happening out there. It doesn't matter the external doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with inner peace. Your external environment, what's happening in your life, has nothing to do with your contentment and your inner peace. I know we are all programmed something opposite, but I'm here to tell you, since I am the leading expert, and I am the leading expert, so I shared with you my definition. I also shared with you that happiness is a practice skill, and inner peace is a practice skill. Contentment is a practice skill. Happiness is a state in mind. It is a state of mind. And let me just speak for myself, when I made the commitment years ago, decades ago, to look for, search for, seek more happiness, there's so many things that I found out, meaning things that were true and things that are untrue. And I'm here just to share the biggest compliment that you could ever give me is, "Oh, Rebecca, I never thought about it like that." That's it. Just a shift in your perspective, or even just a difference of perspective can make a shift in your energy like that. Easy. When I say happiness is a practice skill, like any other skills, the more you commit to the practice, the better the results. So the question that you can ask yourself is, are you ready to prioritize? Are you ready to make a commitment? Are you willing to focus on that thing we call happiness? And again, I'm using the word happiness, but it is an energy. It's a personal vibration that I'm speaking of. Whether or not you make a commitment, and when I say make a commitment to happiness, as I have done decades ago, you will find that maybe nothing outside changes, but your response to what happens shifts. There is a difference between responding and reacting. And when you are on this journey and when you've made a commitment, you will respond to your environment. You will respond to your challenges. You will respond to people as opposed to reacting. So the first part of the practice, when I say happiness is a practice skill, the first part of the practice is to gradually eliminate, while practicing patience with yourself, behaviors that have been proven to subtract from inner peace, contentment, and happiness. That makes sense. Gradually eliminate. That means it's going to take time. Like anything else that's worth, that's worth waiting for. So there is I'm up to 52, 53 program behaviors that have been proven to subtract from happiness. And today we're going to be talking about one of my favorites, which is worrying. Ooh-wee. When I ask the question whether I'm teaching the class the truth about happiness or giving a talk, when I ask people, do you worry? The hands raised. Yes, of course. Of course I worry. And I have talked about this topic more than once, but I like to revisit it only because can you imagine not worrying? Can you imagine never having to worry again? Can you imagine letting go of that anxious energy? What would you do with your time? What would you do with your time if you stopped worrying? So let's get into it. But before I talk about the topic, I just want to give a brief introduction. I get new listeners and new followers all the time, and I just want to give you a little bit of background about the importance of this thing we call happiness. And you can either relate, agree, or disagree. There is a study, you can Google it, and I say this all the time when I'm speaking or having a show. There's a study done by a hospice nurse. Her name is Bronnie Ware. I know I've been saying this forever, probably who knows how long. And the question that she asked her patients, now these are people that have a limited amount of time to live, from days to weeks to months, a limited amount of time to live. And she asked them, what were their 5 biggest regrets? Can you imagine being on your deathbed and coming up with what did you regret? Coming up with answers to your 5 biggest regrets. And in fact, how about this? Let's play a little impromptu game. If you only had 24 hours to live, let's put the pressure on. If you only had 24 hours to live, what would your regrets be? What would your regrets be today if you knew that you only had 24 hours left to live? And I'm not saying this to be morbid or doom and gloom. It's an awakening. What would your regrets be? I know I've asked you that about 10 times now. That's enough. So she asked her patients, and these five regrets kept coming up over and over and over again. And the first one is, I wish I would have pursued my dreams and aspirations and not the life others expected of me. The second one is, I wish I didn't work so hard. How many are workaholics out there? Raise your hand. I wish I didn't work so hard. Number 3, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings and speak my mind. Yours truly doesn't have that problem. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings and speak my mind. Number 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. It doesn't matter whether you vibe with that or not. I don't really vibe with that one. I wish I would have stayed in touch with my friends. And my reasoning behind that is there have been a lot of people that I've grandfathered in, but the truth is the energy is not compatible. Sometimes when people grow or expand or change, sometimes, just sometimes, I don't want to say most of the time, but it's most of the time, sometimes you just got to let people go. And the other truth is if somebody is in your life for whatever reason, they're supposed to be. And if they're not in your life, guess what? They're not supposed to be. It's really that simple. This is not a complicated universe. Look at nature. It's very, very simple. So if something is happening, if someone's in your life, you know that there's a reason for it. And if they're not, there's another reason for that. So the number 4 is I wish I would have stayed in touch with my friends. Yeah, I'm not going to adopt that one, me personally. The 5th one is I wish I would have been happier. I wish I would have let myself be happier. And that's why the happiness cart, the happiness train is number 1 for me. It doesn't matter. This is just my perspective. It doesn't matter what I accomplish. It doesn't matter the titles behind my name. It doesn't matter how much money, millions or billions I have in my bank account. It doesn't even matter. Put your seatbelts on for this one. It doesn't even matter how healthy I am, if I'm suffering from some type of medical condition, aches and pains. If I don't vibrate, if I'm not able to have the energy, a personal energy of peace, if I can't muster up contentment, again, peace, inner peace, contentment, happiness, for me, it's all the same energy. Some people get kind of not mixed up, but just the words. Forget the words. Focus on the energy. So the energy of contentment. If I don't have an energy of contentment, what is the point? In fact, I've said this before too, that before the famous slap, let's see if I have the article, Will Smith was interviewed by GQ magazine in November 2021, and he said, I have everything. I'm one of the biggest movie stars in the world. He's globally known, talented, and you know what else he said? He said, I have everything, but I'm not happy, but I wasn't happy. And in fact, I think I saw something yesterday or the day before that he's finally getting a divorce, and then he says, I consider that my biggest failure. The bottom line is not to focus on Will Smith. It is a common theme. I have all of this. I've earned all of this. I've accomplished all of this, but something's missing. And all I'm saying is, and all I'm sharing is, I'm on that what's missing from the start. This happiness, this energy of contentment is number 1 in my life, in my life. And making it number 1 for me, I mean, that's all I don't say that's all I do. I do other things, but that's number 1, and it is a constant, never-ending practice. But it is the most fulfilling, and I'm going to say this, especially at this stage, in the third stage of my life. I'm in my 60s, 67, to be exact, 67, and I am here to testify that there is nothing out there. I've purchased a dream home. I've lived in my dream home. I lived in the forest surrounded by trees. The creek in the backyard. I've traveled, all of it. But the most important to me, and it's always since 45 years ago, is this happiness thing. And to be. I was talking to my son last night, and I'm going to say be honest, of course, honest, but it's not this inner peace and this contentment doesn't even feel like what I expected it to feel like. There is a calm, how do I say it? How do I explain it? There is a calmness that just constantly lingers. It never, even if I'm angry, annoyed, irritated. Oh, yes, I can do all that too. Angry, annoyed, irritated. Number one, when I do feel those emotions, I'm not resisting them. But the other thing is I'm not attaching a story to why I'm feeling like that. I'm not attaching a story to why I'm angry or why I'm annoyed, other than it is just time to feel that emotion. And in fact, if truth be told, I don't even label. I can feel there's a difference between, in other words, label the emotion. The labeling. Okay, now we're getting into the program behaviors that subtract from happiness. The labeling. Hold on a second. Where is that? The labeling of any emotion, all labels require a judgment. So in my personal life, if I'm use the word angry, I just say I'm charged like electricity. Bam, charged. And you can feel it, but I will not give my ego any satisfaction to say the reason why. Let's get to today's topic. Right after I ask you these questions. So I'm asking you, my dear audience, and only you have the answer. On a scale from 1 to 10, how important is happiness in your life? And again, when I say happiness, I'm talking about a vibration of contentment. What's your definition of happiness? I gave you mine, the ability to be at peace regardless of what happens and regardless of what doesn't happen, the ability to vibrate the energy of peace. Who or what is subtracting from your happiness today? Who or what is subtracting from your happiness today? Do you have a long list? And another question, are you as happy when you're faced with life's inevitable challenges? Are you as happy when you are faced with life's inevitable challenges? Only you can answer that. And when I start a class, the Truth About Happiness classes, when I start the class, it's the same thing. I always share with the students. I say, and I give them, if there's a small number, I actually give them the gift. If there's more than 50, I just bring the object with me. The question is, not the question, there is always a solution to any challenge, to any problem you're going to be facing, always. And when I say a solution, I'm talking about a solution so you will feel at peace, a solution so you will feel contentment, a solution so you can feel happier or happy. There's always a solution, even if it's just as quick and as easy as changing your perspective. Because if you only have one perspective and you're not able to see that same challenge another way, know that is the ego that is in charge of keeping you stuck with just one perspective. So let's get back to the questions. Oh, I forgot. So what I give the students at the beginning of the class, the answer to all of your challenges, the answer to all of your problems, forever, for the rest of your life, it's a mirror. And I'm telling you, don't tell anybody. But not a lot of people are rushing to the mirror to look and say, wow, what do I need to do? What can I change? How do I adjust? How do I expand my own consciousness? How do I practice finding another perspective? How do I let go of expectations? I had an issue this morning. Even at 9 a.m., I had an issue this morning at 7 a.m. with a realtor that I'm working with. And, you know, if you take anything personally, if you have expectations, this is personally for another person. If you have expectations of another person, if you take anything what someone else does to you or reacts to you personally, or if you have any attachments, get ready to just crash into the wall. And this gentleman had expectations, took my decision personally, and there's no way around it unless you let go of the programs, unless you eliminate the programs. And one of the programs is the program of worrying. Yay, we got to the topic. The program of worrying, because it is a program. And what do I mean by program? Thank you for asking. It is a program is what you believe to be true, but you weren't born believing that this is true. In other words, you weren't born with this. You weren't born with this program, and we could all agree on this. I don't know. Let me just back off. 98% will agree that you didn't pop out of the womb knowing how to worry. Worrying is a learned behavior. It is a learned program behavior that you were taught. The good news is, like I say with all program behaviors, if you learned it, you can unlearn it. If you learned how to worry, guess what? You can unlearn it, unless you're at that spot, ooh-wee, and some of us are, not scratch that us, some of you are at that spot where this worrying becomes part of your identity. What? What does that mean? That means that the worrying is part of who you are. You have taken on, and it's not the truth. It's not the truth of who you are, but you've taken on the programming as an identity. Yes, I worry. I'm a worrier. What did some woman told me? Oh, she said she was a worrier, worrier, or was it worrying warrior? Either way, it was a WW. She was a worrying warrior. That's a lot of worrying. That's powerful. That you are a warrior, WARRIOR, worrier. Wow, that's hard to say, isn't it? So how many of you out there like, enjoy, desire, want to, can't stop worrying? How many? Be honest. How many of you like, enjoy, want to, can't stop worrying? Now, why would you say we like worrying, Rebecca? That doesn't make any kind of sense. I like worrying. Well, if you are not actively doing anything about it, if you are not actively making a shift to change, then yeah, you like it. You enjoy it. Because, seatbelt time. Seatbelt time, my dear listeners. Put them on. Put them on. There is something beneficial that you're getting out of worrying. Oh, No, she didn't say that. Oh, gosh, no, she didn't say. Yes, she did. There's something you're getting out of worrying. And I'm going to take it a step further and strap on now, tighten the seatbelts. If you are a worrier and you tell someone else, whether it's a family friend, whether it's somebody in a relationship, whether it's a coworker, or whether it's a stranger, but it's really what I really want to direct this to people that you claim to love, and my hands are up. I'm doing an air quote sign. People that you claim to love, you know, the children, the parents, the significant others, you know, those people you claim to love, and then you tell them that I'm worried about you. You express to them that I worry about you. That's just another way to try to control someone else. Because when you tell somebody that you're worried, what do you want them to do? You want them to engage in and I welcome, oh, you know what, shoot, I did not give the number to call in to speak with me live. The number to call in to speak with me live is area code 646-564-9619. Again, area code 646-564-9619, and just press the number 1. And or you can ask to join if you're on Wisdom. Okay, back to the seatbelt. If you worry and you tell your loved one that you're worried about them, all that is wanting them to change their behavior or do something so you don't worry. That is another program, putting the responsibility on someone else, so you will feel better. I'll give you an example. I mean, come on. I used to, before I was committed to this happiness, contentment, and peace stuff, I worried all the time. It's a program. And I didn't even realize, I mean, if you think about it, of course, are you going to be happy, and can you be happy and worry at the same time? Can you have inner peace and worry at the same time? Can you feel the vibration of contentment and worry at the same time? The answer is no. Worrying and contentment can't even live in the same house. They're separate energies. So let's get back to telling people that you claim, that's right, I'm going to say claim to love, that you put the obligation on them. That's right, it's an obligation on them to behave in a certain manner so you don't worry, which is, how many of you have family members or, friends, when you get, and their travel, when you get there, give me a call. Call me when you arrive. Call me when you get home. And the program is to say, oh, that just means that you care. Worrying means that you care, doesn't it? Don't tell anybody. No, it doesn't. In fact, it's the opposite. I'm going to ask you, how does that feel? I mean, if you feel that, if you believe that worrying means that someone cares about you, then all of everything that I'm saying is not really going to be relatable. But know that is a program, that they care about me. But for me, if you tell me you're worried, what a burden. Did I say burden? Yes, what a burden, meaning now I'm obligated to do A, B, or C, or D, meaning if I travel, I've got to call you and let you know that I'm safe. There's only one reason. Let me see. There's only one reason, and here we go. There's only one reason why people worry. Does anyone know the answer? Can anyone guess the answer as to why people worry? There's only one reason, And I've asked this question before, and usually the answers I get are fear. What's the other one? Fear. The other one that I give is, insecurity. And I get those answers, and neither one are correct. Fear, you throw that in there. But number one is the program. Number two, the only reason why you worry is that you lack trust. Do I need to say that again for the shock value? The only reason why you worry is because you lack trust. You cannot trust and worry at the same time. It's impossible to trust and worry at the same time. And guess what? When you put a spotlight on the programming, when you put a spotlight on the program, and you make a choice to trust, a choice to practice trusting, because if you've just heard this for the first time, trust, well, trust what? How do I trust? I'm here to tell you that. Remember when I said it's all of the solutions, all of the challenges and solutions to your challenges come from looking in the mirror? The practice is not to tell someone you have to call me, or you have to text me, or you have to behave, whatever, pointing out to the world, the other people, what they have to do so you don't worry. That's a choice. I have one son. I have all my eggs in one basket, one baby. And he's not a baby anymore. He's old. He's 30. I'm not saying old. He's 38. And I don't worry about him at all, whether he's traveling, whether if I hear from him in 3 days. Sometimes I don't hear from him in 4 days, sometimes even longer, because I've given up that program of worrying, and it is a program. The good news is, I said it earlier, if you learned it, and you did learn it, you were programmed to worry, you can unprogram yourself, you can unlearn it. When I say trust, let me ask you this question. Can you look back in the past? I know we live in the present. Can you look back in the past and make a list of all of those things, all of those experiences back then, that when they happened, oh my goodness, I don't want to go through that. I didn't want to go through. Let me be very clear. My ego didn't want to experience gifting the house to the handyman, my mother gifting the house to the handyman. My ego didn't want to experience any kind of health, medical issues. My ego didn't want to experience a five-year legal fight with the attorney here, the commissioner. He's the probate commissioner in Clark County. My ego didn't want any of that. Oh, my ego has a whole plan about what is best for me. I know what's best for me, and I'm here to tell you, I'm here to share with you that I couldn't even begin to come up with what's serving me. My ego could. And what I've done right now, I just had this conversation with someone. I have 0 wants and 0 desires, other than what the universe wants for me, other than what God desires for me. I've given up. So the trust comes from looking back, and can you focus on maybe one incident where, you know what, I really didn't have to go through that, universe. I really didn't have to experience that. I could have gone through this life without having that. But maybe after time, a period of weeks, a period of months, a period of years, you look back and you say, wow, look at what I gained from going through that. And I've shared this a lot of times, so please forgive me if you've listened to this. This is the 1,000,001th time. when I did find out in 2018 that after my mother died and gifted the house, the family house, to her handyman, it took me 2 weeks to laugh at it, and I've shared this before, but looking back, what did I gain from that? How did that serve me? And I'm here to tell you that incident served me beyond anything I could have come up with myself. How do you practice trust? Here we go. I realized that I still had expectations. I'm up here teaching, have zero expectations. I'm up here sharing, all expectations subtract from happiness. I had expectations. Number 2, I had attachments to something material. Number 3, I love to blame. Blaming the handyman, blaming the mother, blaming the attorney. Again, that's when the trust kicks in. Trusting that even though by the world's judgment, because when I share that story, my mother died and gifted the house of the handyman, I get the program response of, what? And that's another program, the response, the reaction, But without that happening, I would have never known that I had expectations hidden in the closet, that I had attachments to material things. I know family, sentimental, hidden in the closet, that I was still blaming, oh my goodness, the mother, the attorney, the handyman. Oh, the blame was rampant. And in fact, that's another program behavior, is to blame someone else or something else or the circumstances for how you feel. That's another program behavior. So let's get back to this worrying. How many of you, raise your hand, would not want to worry, would want to let go of all of your worrying behavior? And if you're saying, nah, I'm good with it, this is another thing that I always hear. That's normal. It's normal to worry. It's human to worry. No, it's not. It is a program taught, and all programs subtract. When I say programs, man-made programs, subtract from your inner peace, subtract from contentment. How many of you are willing to let go of your worrying or even want to? Talk about desires or wants. I'll have a desire or want to experience more peace. I'll have a desire or want to expand my self-awareness. I'll desire and want all of those. But any of this human stuff, no thank you. I'm good. I'm good with whatever you bring to me, universe, or whatever you don't bring. Oh, yes, they've beaten me down. I've surrendered all the way down. No desires, no wants, no goals, no nothing other than what the universe wants for me. And I use the term universe. You can use God, source, higher power, spirit, I am, all that there is. You can use whatever term you want. I've let go. And you know what? This letting go and elimination and letting go of these program behaviors automatically takes you to a place of just feeling lighter, energetically lighter. Can you imagine letting go of all of your worry? What do you have to worry about anyway? Huh? What is there to worry about? And let's take it to another level. We already talked about if you're a worrier and then you tell someone that you claim to love that you're worried about them, that is just another manipulation or a way to control them. Oh, ouch, ouch, ouch. Let's take it to another level. there is, if you are not wanting to, willing to, or even think it's important to let go of worrying, the worrying itself, I said it earlier, becomes your identity. Worry warrior becomes your identity. And with that comes an addiction to worrying. Oh, there's a lot of programmed addictions to worrying. In fact, feeling uncomfortable, not worrying. I was going to say how crazy is that, but that wouldn't be nice. How crazy is that? Wanting this, it's not normal. It's not human to worry. You weren't born with it. Let me get back to this. Looking back on your life, I'm sure, well, I'm not 100% sure, but can you find something that you went through that you might have chosen not to go through it, but now that you have, you've discovered, wow, it served me. That's what I mean when I say trust. Trust that whatever you are doing, whatever you are experiencing, and others too, looking out at the people that you know, the people that you love, not wanting them to. What did I hear from a mother this week? Oh, I don't want my child to get hurt. I'm worried that my child will be hurt. And her daughter's, I think, in her early 20s. Well, worried that your daughter is not going to get hurt? How about this? How about teaching your daughter how to experience some of these ups and downs of life and be okay? And be okay with all of the back and forth and drama and feel good and not feel good. Be okay with that. And how to have strategy, because life is really about different strategies. Strategies that always lead to one solution, and that solution is, scratch the solution, that outcome is more inner peace. More inner peace. That's the solution. How to navigate through whatever life throws at you, at me, and still be peaceful. My challenge to you, if you should decide to accept it, Mission Impossible from the 1960s. My challenge to you is, are you willing, committed, even interested in letting go of worrying? And if you have children, you know our kids learn from us being examples. Being an example of a parent that doesn't worry. You teach them young. I mean, unless you want to teach them just to follow in your footsteps and worry too. Or even if you have older children, even if you have adult children. Wouldn't that be something if you went to your kids and say, you know what, child o' mine, I'm practicing not worrying anymore. I'm practicing, and I want to start, and I would like to practice with you. I want to practice. So there's no need to contact me. There's no need to text me when you've arrived. There's no need. I trust. And so now you're not only teaching them to let go of this worrying energy, which is low, on the low level. You know that it's a low vibration. Not only are you teaching them that, but you're teaching them by how to be an example. See, because we're all spiritual beings having a human experience, and we are all examples. We are examples of our beliefs. We are examples of our programming. We are human examples. So if you're in a room or you find yourself in a crowd and everybody's worried and frantic and you're at peace and you are vibrating an energy of peace, you are going to affect that room. And let's take it even further, not farther, further. Whatever you are vibrating in any moment is your contribution to this planet. All you wonderful people with the causes, whether it's global warming, whether it's animal rights, whether it's population, whether it's hunger, hunger, whatever your cause is. Your vibration, okay, this is just my perspective. Your vibration is even more powerful than the cause. You know what? I may have to scratch that. Let me sit with that one. Let me just say this. Your energy is powerful. Your energy affects the world. Your energy affects the world. And so you can change the world and stay home. So when your energy shifts from this worrying energy, which is heavier, which is denser, you know the difference. I mean, is it possible to, I said this earlier, is it possible to have inner peace and worry at the same time? I don't think so. What are you prioritizing? What do you think is important? And I know it sounds so simple and it sounds so small to let go of worrying. Well, it may not sound so small. It may sound small, it may sound big. To let go of worrying, to let go of that programmed behavior of worrying. But it's not small. It's a huge shift of energy. It's a huge energy shift, letting go of worry. And not only letting it go, but being the example to others as you travel through the world, as you travel, along your day. Here we go. The last thing I'm going to say about worrying, as I clear my throat. Hold on a second. This is reality spirituality. Hold on. Spring water. Oh, question. Are you worried? Are you worried about something or someone? Scratch that. Let me just stay with something. Are you worried about something? Are you worried about the cough? Okay, there we are. There's the voice. Are you worried about something that you have zero control over? Zero control. Nothing. You couldn't. That's from the state of the world, the politics, gas prices, price of groceries. Do you worry about what you can't control? How useless is that? But you know what? Scratch that. That does have a use. Worrying about something that you don't have control over, that you can't control, does have a purpose. You know what it is? Can anybody guess? The number to call in is area code 646-564-9619. Again, area code 646-564-9619. And or if you're on Wisdom, you can ask to join. Do you worry about what you can't control? There is something is getting fed. And what is it? Can anybody guess? Raise your hand. I can see if your hand's raised. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Or not. You are feeding your ego when you worry. You're giving your ego fuel. Now, some people don't like the word ego. Scratch the words. Ego, lower consciousness, critical mind. You know the stories in your head, the thoughts in your head that never seem to stop. I got them too. Ongoing. But what I do with those thoughts, what I do with those stories, number one, I don't identify with them. I am not my thoughts. I am not those, and those stories are not true. I already know that. So what I practice is, and I've said it a million times, I just witness. I witness the stories, I witness the thoughts, but I'll be damned if I identify with any of that. So, but that entity that is coming up with those stories and coming up with those thoughts, you're feeding it. You're feeding the ego. You're feeding that part of the mind that will not shut down, that is constant. I call it the ego. You're feeding it. So when you're worrying, when you worry, know that you are feeding that part of you, which in reality is really not you anyway. You're not your ego. You're much more than that. You're much more. But the ego. So you have this. So you have two vicious wolves inside. Two vicious wolves, and so they're fighting each other. And one side, I'm not going to say vicious. I'm going to say wolves. And one side is all universal, God, consciousness, all of that, and the other side is all human, all ego. And there's a constant battle. There's a constant struggle. And which entity is going to win? Which entity is going to grow stronger? Which entity is going to have more power? It's the wolf that you feed. Whatever you're feeding is going to have more power. Whatever you focus on is going to have more power. And so the focus, worrying requires a lot of focus. And it seems constant and never ending. But the counter to that is, and that's another thing, just lighten up. Because the one thing about worrying, it comes attached to serious, this is important energy. Oh, it's a deep program. Worrying is deep, and be patient with yourself. If you want to get on the journey, if you want to get on the journey, if you want to get on the path to eliminate all worrying, you can. Because if I can do it, you can do it. It's just prioritizing inner peace, and number two, practicing more trust. And letting go of all of the stories. It's very difficult. The ego loves the stories that it comes up with. Oh, the ego just loves the stories. But I tell the ego all the time, yeah, I hear your stories. I don't believe any one of them, though. I hear you, but I don't believe you. And with time, and with practice, and with patience, that behavior of worrying dissipates, gets weaker, doesn't get as much attention. So instead of I don't want to worry anymore, how about just practicing, how do I trust more? And ask that question. When you ask, the how-tos, the hows always comes from the universe. So you ask that question, hey, universe, How do I let go? No, scratch that. How do I practice trusting more? How do I practice trusting more? You cannot trust and worry at the same time. It's up to you to choose which one you want to prioritize. And know, especially when the ego has its teeth sunk in and its fingernails dug in, and is not going to want to let go of that worrying. It's gonna come up with some really whopping things to worry about. And that's when I counter with, I hear you, but I trust. But number one, I trust. The only reason why people worry is because of lack of trust. Happiness is a practice skill. And inner peace is a practice skill. Contentment, feeling contentment is a practice skill. And worrying has no place. This journey is constantly changing, it's constantly evolving. And what is important? What is important to you? What is important to me may not be important to you. But I tell you right now, this worrying, it's over. Okay, let me scratch that. I may have some worrying in the closet, maybe 2%. You know what? I'm going to be generous and say 5%. It's somewhere. I got to dig real deep to find it. I got to go, behind the clothes. I got to look in the corners. But yeah, no, I'm not into the worrying. Why? Is the practice of trust and letting go. Hey, and that's that. That's the end of today's show. Thank you for listening. Reality Spirituality Radio is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can follow me on Twitter at RL Norrington. My LinkedIn, I have a LinkedIn page. My Instagram handle is Reality Spirituality, and I do have some videos on YouTube. Of course, everything needs to be updated, but I'm not going to worry about when that happens. My first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, can be published on Amazon. That was published in 2014, and currently I'm finishing one of these days. I'm not going to worry about when that happens either, is the second book, which is called Programmed for Unhappiness. And part of the programming is worrying. You know what? Before I go, let me share with you, hold on a second. Let's go to this other page here. The non-programmed behaviors that add to inner peace, contentment, and happiness. Let me just share that, a nice takeaway. Instead of just telling you the programmed behaviors that subtract, these are non-programmed behaviors that add to your inner peace, contentment, and happiness. And some of them are being patient, celebrating your growth regularly, celebrating your expansion, celebrating you making a different decision, staying out of everybody else's business. In fact, if you were when you're in other people's business, then that just opens up the door to worrying. Practicing trust, being at peace with uncertainty. I don't know, but trusting. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And you know what? Jimmy cracked corn, and I don't care. I practice trusting. I'm okay with not knowing. I'm okay with uncertainty. Recognizing the other thing is recognizing the difference between your unconscious ego and your higher self. Detachment from people, detachment from outcomes, detaching from thinking that you know what's best or what's right. Choosing peace in all moments. Practicing acceptance. That means acceptance of self and acceptance of others. And here's the big one. Wanting or needing or desiring anything to be different than the present moment. The present moment isn't enough. I need more. And I said patience already. And remaining open to all possibilities and all experiences and being okay. Universe, I have no idea, but I'm good with that. Drive, universe, drive. Just let go. And if you think that you're making something happen, or if you think that you're not making something happen, that's another show. Because there is nothing that you are not getting, or nothing that you are getting that the universe hasn't already signed off on. And in fact, that you signed off on before you got here. Yeah, I want to experience that, but maybe you forgot that you wanted to experience it. But there's nothing that would stop the universe, God, for gifting you what is in store for you. Are you kidding? Nothing. Boy, oh boy, how did I get off on that tangent? That's going to have to be another show. Here we go. Until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who the hell you are. You are a physical extension of the universe. Your conscious energy, which is always evolving, always changing, always growing. Love is patient and love is kind. Be patient and be kind to yourself by accepting yourself in every moment. Be your own best friend. And remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality Radio with yours truly, happiness specialist Rebecca L. Norrington. Remember, happiness is a practice skill. And I promise you, the more you practice, the more peace you will find, and your experience in every moment reflects on what you practice. Have a conscious week. Thank you so much for listening.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one now. Reality Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Reality Spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Get real. Time to get down. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good. Now, that's what I'm talking about.